Pulp MX Network production.
Bringing you a cheeky Brit and an American YouTube racing sensation weekly. It's the LVK More Than Moto podcast with your hosts, Lewis Phillips and Kellen Brauer.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Leatt LVK More Than Moto podcast. I am Kellen Brauer, joined by Lewis Phillips. Arlington in the rear view, mirror Triple Crown done. And man, what a weird, wild night of racing. There's so much that we're going to get into and talk about here today on the show. But first, I'm just glad to see my buddy Lewis, because I didn't get to see you this weekend. We were separated for the first time we were separated at
2
Glendale
weeks.
too.
The first time in 2 weeks.
2 weeks that I haven't seen you.
Well, that makes me feel good to know that I'm that desirable, that even 2 weeks without me just is too much for you to handle.
Well, unfortunately, you and other members of the elite media are purposely choosing to avoid me this coming weekend, so we'll talk about that next week. But yeah, sad.
Maybe that should be a topic.
No, it's okay. We don't need to deep dive that. But yeah, wild weekend for sure. Like lots to get into. Before we get into it, though, I do want to give a shout out to my colleague at Swap Moto Live, Chase.
Your
Curtis.
colleague? You definitely said colleague, I think.
No, I said colleague.
Okay, well, I heard
Okay,
colleague.
my colleague at
laugh.
Swap Moto Live, Chase.
Because a collie
Curtis.
is a dog, isn't it?
Yes. Got hit by, I believe it was Henry Miller, hit him right in the last chance qualifier. And really bad break to his lower leg. Got surgery on it yesterday. Was in good spirits, but there is a GoFundMe set up for him because there's going to be some expensive medical bills with this. And it's just it's kind of the nature of the business, unfortunately, being trackside and a bike goes off. And honestly, I guess someone else almost got hit in the main event or the night show as well. So bummer deal. And gosh, he got, I don't think I've ever seen someone get hit that hard, because he got like pinned up against the wall. Gnarly for sure.
Yeah, sad to see. Everyone likes Chase Curtis. He's definitely more liked than me and you. So
he is. But yes, I'll put a GoFundMe link in the description below if you guys want to go ahead and support him. Yeah, hopefully we get to see him back at the races soon, but take a little bit of much needed time to rest and hopefully recover well from that. All right, let's get into the show. Before we do that, big thanks, of course, Leatt, Namura, Racetech, Partzilla. We'll tell you guys all about them as we go throughout the show. And let's just get into it, Lewis. We have to. I'm sorry, we have to. Chase Sexton. What the hell, man? Like, what the hell? I didn't want to bring this up in Detroit, but like, bro, what's going on?
I know what you're talking about, Kellen. You're saying, what the hell? How can a rider ride that fast? And yes, the speed is what everyone is talking about as we leave Arlington. No, I'm taking a piss. I have to clarify that because people have already commented. They haven't even got this far. I don't know.
Because,
honestly, I will start with this, and I said this on the Vital Post Race show. I do respect. Right or wrong, I do respect Jeffrey Hurlings, Chase Sexton for being degaff and I'm just going to win no matter what. I want to win that bad. Like, whether it's right or wrong, I do have respect for that, maybe more so than others. I will say that. And also, I think I have respect for that because I don't think I'm that way as a person. So I think less than respect, it's more like I'm in awe of that quality in a person, to be that sendy, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, it's great, obviously, from the fans' perspective, to see someone go for it when he didn't really have to. He was going to win the overall regardless. And you know, look, there is a world, in my opinion, where he doesn't hit the back of Webb. He gets a great run off that tire tap, goes to the outside of the berm before the whoops, goes flying through the whoops and block passes him for the win in the final corner. And we're all singing his praises and holy crap, that was insane. And he just put a dagger in Cooper Webb and et cetera, et cetera. But also, like, he didn't need to do it. So why do it in the first place? Like, just settle in, take the win, take the points. This is the third week in a row where, like, he's kind of been his own worst enemy. And it seems like it's becoming a trend that's, like, alarmingly repeatable.
Honestly, I don't know if he could answer that question of why. I mean, I guess he kind of did in the press conference. He didn't care. He knew that he had the overall. He did not care. He just wanted to win outright, which if I put myself in his shoes, I guess the reason for that is make a statement, put Webb back in his box, and cement your position as the guy in the series, which I guess would be tantalizing. No, that's not the word. Would be attractive if you're on track and that's running through your mind.
The weird thing about it to me is like, yes, in some facet that is winning the mental game of like getting in Webb's head that he's faster and stuff like that. But to me, winning against Cooper Webb is never going to be about winning the mental battle. It's just being better. Just be faster than him, be more consistent than him, win more races than him. You know what I mean? Like, everyone knows Cooper Webb is mentally stronger than pretty much everyone out there. He's proven it year after year. So why would Chase, of all people in this situation, choose that battle? Just go win.
Well, I don't think it would have been a mental thing. I think it would have been a
also, because I feel like Chase would look at that and go like, well, now he knows I'm better. You know,
this has only just come to me. And he's not mentioned this in any press conference or podium interview or anything that he's done. Well, he's only done those, and rightfully so. Is there a chance? He won Glendale's Triple Crown without winning a race. So is there a chance that was on his mind and that added to the urgency to get a win? Because he was going to win Arlington without winning a race.
Yeah, but why does that matter? If you leave at the end of the night with 25 points, like, play the game that's given to you, you know? Like,
I don't think
that's
true. I don't think that would matter, but we all have we all have stuff in life that we fixate on, don't we? And you're like, why? And you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just care.
Okay. Okay, so this weekend aside, I listened to your interview that you did with him on press day, and he talked about Anderson creeping into his peripheral, and then as soon as he was there, he went. Which again is like, huh? Like, who I've never heard of someone say because someone moved into my peripheral I went. I've heard of flinching, or I saw the gate wiggle or something like that. I've never heard of this explanation before either. So as much as you said in the interview that it was an explanation, I feel like I was kind of like, that seems even weirder to me that he would just go because of someone moving into his peripheral.
I believed it because he said it so fluently. There was no like well, it was like bam. Which is kind of how you expose a liar, isn't it?
I believe that he did it because of that, but I'm just saying that the concept of doing that seems odd to me. No?
Well, I guess it depends, like, again, different situations, different people, different times. Maybe if he was more locked in on that start, it wouldn't have happened. But maybe for whatever reason, he was distracted and then this movement just like, like, I don't know how to quite define that correctly. But yeah, maybe that wouldn't have happened because of Anderson at other races. Maybe it was just the fact that he wasn't as locked in on that start or was distracted or, like I've had situations where I do something I've done a million times, but for whatever reason, I can't pinpoint it, but it doesn't feel right. And I'm a little off and maybe it was one of those. But already I'm digging myself a hole because I'm defending and I don't think that's what people want. I think people want us to sit here and go, see you fuck burn. Him.
They want to see you burn at this because you and Chase have developed a relationship here. So,
well, what did you think of our interview? 10 out of 10?
I mean, yeah, like you definitely got more out of him than pretty much any of us would because you kept the jokey joke nature of it going.
Honestly, dare I say his interviews are now better than Sue's were.
Oh, Saturdays with Sexton?
I would do that, but I don't want to retread old ground. No, like, obviously, I'm not saying... It goes without saying that, yes, the smart thing to do would have been to just back off and win. And yes, no one knows why, but that goes without saying. There's no point in us just going around in circles saying that was a bad decision. We know that. So aren't we here to just try and understand?
Okay, so here's where, like, I draw this weird disconnect because... Like, I put out that tweet right after the race, and some people have come at me saying, like, oh, I hate Sexton and stuff like that, which is absolutely not true. I like Chase a lot. Like, as a person, he's a great interview
as much as
person, me? So maybe more. But seriously...
Do I need to up my game? I don't know if I can do that.
People are coming at me like, you're not in his position, you don't know. But, okay, so if we take what Chase's position on this is, I just want to win, doesn't matter the cost. And it's like, sure, you were going to win, and isn't the point of this to win the title at the end of the day, which is what some people have come to me and say, like, it's meaningless that he's going for this championship. And I'm like, huh? Like, if this is what they're all here for. They're going to make so much money winning a championship. It's why they're racing. So at the end of the day, yes, winning is cool, but play the game, bro. Like, you got to win enough points to win the championship, and throwing points away the way he has the past couple weeks isn't helping his case to do that.
Yeah, that's fair. But maybe this is why, you know what? Maybe this is why I see it in such a weird perspective. Because in my opinion, this is Jeffrey Hurling's. Is it not? Just stop, Jeffrey. Back it down. Just take the points. And I've spoken to Jeffrey about this a million times, and I've always heard his side. So maybe that's why I'm more like, I get it more because Jeffrey won me around. So therefore,
So what is Jeffrey's side? Like, explain what you mean by that.
I just want to win.
Just want to win.
I just want to win, and there's money on the line. I mean, Chase had the money. I said this on the Vital MX post-race show, but let me say it again because it is a eerily similar situation. And it's a core memory. Have you watched the movie Inside Out?
Yeah.
It's a core memory, this is. It may even be an island for me, but we'll decide that later. Indonesia 2018. Hurlings broke his collarbone 2 weeks before, mid-season, came back, was still in a championship race, hadn't ridden. Came back just to salvage points. Won Moto 1 against all odds. Moto 2, he was in second, therefore tied on points with Crowley. So basically, mission accomplished. The team were hanging over pit lane with their hands clasped together, physically begging him to stop chasing Crowley and just take second. Like, I've never seen anything like it. They were literally, the emotion on their face was like they were basically pleading with him to not shoot himself. Jeffrey went for it. There was a tabletop before the finish jump, hit a kicker on the finish jump, full panic rev. No. Then they're begging more. He still went for it, passed him, won, and went 1-1. That will stick with me for the rest of my life because although it was incredibly dumb and stupid and against the advice of everyone involved in his circle, I have to sit there and go, fair fucking play.
Okay. So,
but
yes,
is that not exactly the same situation? Kinda.
Yes, but I still think that in this situation, because Jeffrey, as you say, okay, he matches Tony on points that day, but the flip of that is he gets 6 extra points over Tony by winning that second moto versus just matching him on points. Chase doesn't gain anything by passing Webb in that last race. He doesn't get an extra 3 points or a bonus point or anything other than maybe like fair. Bragging rights or the emotional or the mental gain or anything like that. So to me, it's like you're gonna win the race already, then just win the race. Like I was listening to the race review pod that Mathis and JT and Weege do, and even Weege and JT were hitting the point of like Hayden Deegan, who is 18 years old, 19 years old, whatever he is now, was backing it down in the last race because he knew he had it. Like, I'm not gonna go run Cole Davies down and kill myself to win all 3 because I know I've won this. So how can Chase Sexton, who's 6 years his elder, not figure that same thing out?
Bizarrely, and again, I'm kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place here because people just want us to burn Chase at the stake. But if I put on my analytical hat to what you just said, had he not crashed in that corner and sent it in the whoops and crashed big in the whoops because he absolutely sent it to pass Webb, then that's more relevant, I think, to what you just said. But in that moment, less so than a kill yourself crash, it was more of just a silly mistake. It wasn't that's what you get. Okay, it came from the fact because he was charging after a win. But you get what I mean? If he'd crashed in the whoops cartwheeling because he was sending it, then that's more applicable to that category. No? Well, yes?
Yeah, because then I feel like in that case, the championship's over. Like, he's either hurt or down a lot of points.
Well, let's say he gets the same result.
How?
But the crash was more spectacular because of, No, I don't know what I'm saying now.
No, I don't, because like in that situation, I feel like, yes, then you're just like, bro, what are you doing at that point? Like, I'm still saying that now. But yes, it is a little less so because he still got up, finished on the podium. He's only 5 points down. There's races coming up that he could or should be better than Webb. Like, all is not falling off the train. But still, like, to mentally keep giving Webb these little chips on his shoulder to carry with him, I just don't think is the smart play here. Like, it's just he's giving momentum to the wrong person. If this was like Roxon winning these races, we'd kind of be like, yeah, that's kind of dumb, but like he'll probably figure out a way to beat him, I think, right?
Yes, but I don't know if this really does that much for Webb. I mean, I think Webb's sure of himself, win or lose. So I don't know if. I mean, obviously, Webb looks at Chase and goes, "That was dumb of him. Brilliant. Keep doing that."
Sure, but I think Webb was standing on the podium, having won that race, and looking at Chase in that berm, crying and holding his head and all this
honestly,
stuff like that.
That was heart wrenching.
But I think Webb looks at that and goes like, "I got that guy, no problem." Like he probably already thought that, but now he's definitely sure of it. Like there's no way he doesn't think he has a mental edge over him. So more
Please side with me. That was fucking heartbreaking to watch.
Well, yeah, of course it is, but it's also just like, yeah, man, you did it to yourself. Like it would be heartbreaking if he was going for it and the lapper got involved or something like that. Then he would be like, then it would just be sad because it was like, oh, this is gonna be great, and now it's a disaster. But it wasn't the lapper, you know.
What did you say before I just said that? There was something I was going to say, but I've forgotten what it was in reply to.
Well, I just said Webb looking down on him and like knowing he has the mental edge.
Oh, this is what I was going to say. It's again, I'm just. The thing is, Kellen, you're playing bad cop here, so I have to play good cop. So people need to not shout at me, but spin it whatever way you want for each person. Because if you're in Webb's camp, you're saying, yeah, you've got him. Look at the stupid mistake he made. Look at him on the podium. You've got him, mate. You're in his head. All of that. If you're Chase, or if you're in Chase's camp, you're saying, you're the man. There's no doubt about your speed. Look how much faster you were than everyone. You would have won that easily. Forget about it. It's only a couple of points. You're the man. They can't match you on speed. Like you can kind of find a motivational angle for anyone. Okay. If anything, and I said this on the Vital MX post-race show as well, if anything, the concerning point in the night is main event 1, maybe.
Just because he was there just and there was keep with Kenny and stuff? Or
yeah, just he was off.
It wasn't that off. Like he was still.
We did get passed by Justin Hill.
Okay, well, Justin Hill was pretty good. Like you can't knock Justin Hill for riding well. And to be fair, I think Chase's strong suit is that he most of the time is probably one of the best riders in the world when the track gets gnarly. When it's smooth and crisp and fast, he's very good, but everyone else is like just as good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when it's smooth like that, Roxon's hellaciously good, and that's why he won that first race and stuff. So anyway, point aside, I just feel like this is giving too much advantage to Webb that he doesn't need. Like in a perfect world, Sexton goes 2-1-1 the last couple weeks because I think Malcolm was going to get him anyway in Tampa. He probably was going to win Detroit if he starts like 8th. He was that fast. And then he wins this weekend. So in a perfect world, he's up 10, almost 15 points.
I take issue with that though, because yes, you can make assumptions about Arlington because it was so late in the race that it was very clear what was going to happen. But Detroit, I feel like it was so early in the race that you can't just give him that win. Like, yes,
okay, I'm not saying okay, let's give him. How about 2-2-1?
Like,
Webb wins
maybe
Detroit.
Maybe he whole shots, or maybe he starts around Anderson and Anderson just absolutely T-bones him and his bike's broken and he doesn't score points, and actually hitting the gate was the best thing that could have ever happened. Like, you just never know, when it was that early in a race, you never know.
All I want to get from you is you take all these unforced, in my opinion, errors away. The crash and the whoops at Tampa, which he said in his vlog. I just watched it today. He didn't even know Malcolm was in second. He didn't realize Malcolm was that close. So,
point for Lewis. I was on pole after Tampa, and I said that I don't think Malcolm was worried, or I don't think Chase was worried about Malcolm at all, and everyone laughed at Lewis.
Okay, well, anyway, he didn't even know Malcolm was second. He said in his vlog, he's like, why is the crowd cheering so much? And they crashed. So you take that unforced error away because he didn't even know who was behind him.
But what else did he say about that?
Well, he just said that he made a mistake, went down.
Okay.
Bars are all bent up. Throttle was stuck or something. So anyway, take that away. Finished the second that night. Worst third, probably. I'm just trying to get to the point that we're, instead of 5 down, we're probably looking at 10 up minimum. You take these mistakes away?
Yeah, and obviously that is a blow to lose that. Of course, there's no sugarcoating that. But do I want to do a but? Maybe
or
I
do we
don't.
want to just move on? We're over
No, I've
time,
got a
so-
but though, and I
Okay.
think this is justified. If the tables were reversed and Cooper Webb gave a 10-point advantage to the fastest rider in the series, that is more of a pressing issue, in my opinion, than the fastest rider in the series having to overcome a 10-point deficit or 5-point deficit. I mean,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's fair. I do genuinely believe that there is a world where Sexton wins Daytona and wins Indy, and suddenly he's back in the points lead, and this is all a wash in a couple weeks. But golly, man, you just can't give Cooper Webb this. Like, you just can't keep letting him have these golden opportunities fall into his lap to gain points on you. So anyway, that's enough about Sexton. I don't want to keep rehashing it. We're done. Big thanks to Leatt at Leatt. Protection is our brand DNA. It started 20 years ago with the groundbreaking Leatt neck brace and continues today with an extensive product offering of protective gear and riding apparel. But what Leatt really stands for is inspiring confidence and ensuring safety with every ride. And it really stands for P1 in qualifying this weekend at Arlington.
it also stands for protection because Nichols and Chisholm crashed separately, but within 10 centimeters of each other in the final main event, and both were okay.
But yeah, Justin Hill crushing it, P1 in qualifying. I was actually like, I love stories like that. Not a topic right here, but I love stories like that where you just have a random fastest qualifier, a random heat win, like stuff like that I wouldn't necessarily expect to see. Like I tune in every race day live and I'm like, yeah, it's probably Sexton going to be fastest again or something like that, you know?
Yeah, I'm a little more immune to it with Justin Hill because although I don't expect it, when it happens, I'm like, okay, well, it's not a surprise. Whereas if it was Benny, then I'm surprised.
Okay. Well, we'll see Benny Bloss qualify P1 at Daytona this week. All right, let's get into my second topic here. We'll dive down into the 250 class. A couple weeks back, you and I discussed what does Michael Mosiman need to do to classify this as like basically a good year or maybe keep his ride or anything along those lines. Now he's built himself into a podium. And for a minute there, aside from Deegan crushing everyone, like borderline looked like he could win, like was, winning race 2. I thought overall just looked almost back to old Michael Mosiman at Arlington. So what I want to know with this now is post-race, he talked about saying he still thinks he can win a title. He wants to win a title. And we both were talking a few weeks ago about like, well, if he doesn't stay at Star, maybe he goes to Club or another team like that. But if he wants to win a title, I feel like Star is a great opportunity for him. So now is the actual question whether or not Star would retain him moving forward, seeing what we've seen in the progress these last few weeks.
Yeah, first and foremost, the progress is incredible. And some, maybe even myself, doubted this would happen. If you look at his results every single week, he's gotten better results-wise. So all of this is incredible. The danger zone is the fact that he has now entered a realm where I would argue that you could now say, okay, the building process stops now, you're on the podium. We need to see wins. Whereas it would have been unrealistic to bring that to his door as Star Racing at the beginning of the season. I think he's now proven himself enough where the expectations will climb astronomically, to be honest. So I'm curious to see I guess we'll never know what their viewpoint is, but I'm curious to see what their reaction or how his reaction even starts to change in the coming weeks.
So then in your opinion, you believe for Star to, tender another contract for him for 2026, he has to win?
Is he not? I think he's under contract for 2026.
Well, it was a 2-year deal that started, I thought, last year.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Are we sure it wasn't like... Because Max's deal was a 2-year deal that started last year, but it's actually a 2.5-year deal.
I don't know. I'd have to research again. I just know it's a 2-year deal, but I don't remember exactly the synopsis of it.
You could argue that, look at evidence. Star re-signed Nate Thrasher, who won occasionally and did nothing else.
He won.
But
he won.
Yes. Star re-signed... Who else have they re-signed recently? Dax was on a 2-year deal. I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, point being, you don't see many guys stick around who are just podium guys. They've proven that they can win. Now, maybe Mosiman doesn't win this year, but the trajectory is so promising that it's worth a punt. Or maybe he just wins and that's that. I think either way, it's crucial to underline the fact that there is a potential for wins moving forward and that this rebuilding process doesn't stop here.
Well, I guess so. Then, really, kind of the question that we need to debate is Michael Mosiman believes he can be a title guy again. Do you feel that way? Like, based on this progress, like, do you really feel like, obviously not this year, but we roll into 2026 and building off of this year and knowing past history of how fast he's been, there's a chance to believe he could win a title next year?
No. And I say that with all due respect, but although the trajectory is promising, he's still crashing a lot. And not big crashes, so that's fine. But he's not the robust figure that wins a championship yet.
Okay. I think I agree with you. I see a world where he definitely becomes a championship contender again, but I don't know that he's really going to be better than some of the current crop or guys that are coming right behind him that are obviously going to be good, like Cole Davies and stuff like that he'll have to deal with over the next few years. And he's still younger than Jordan Smith and Cameron McAdoo and some of those other guys, but he's definitely getting more on the older side of the 250 class, which means that like his window of opportunity to win has been shrinking year after year. So it almost feels like it is starting to become now or never. Like he's got to figure it out right now. He doesn't have 3 more years to figure it out. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I don't know. Like I think that it's obvious that the progress is cool. He's excited about it, but I don't know if I'm there with title yet.
Well, not to go too deep, Kellen, but you could argue that it's now or never. Or you could argue that now or never was the Husky days, and in fact, we are in the never period, and we just don't know it.
That's very Twilight Zone of you.
Yeah, I know, it's clever, huh?
Dive into that. So let me ask this about Mosiman. So Pierce Brown leads 8 minutes of the first main event of the year and then crashes in the whoops. And he's on a 2-year deal, so he's fine. He's going to be back in 2026. But let's just say for hypothetical sake, you have to pick between the two of them based on what we've seen right now. Would you still pick Pierce over Michael?
Yes.
Just because of the raw speed or what? Because he has no wins yet still. So
well, I think that poll 100 people, 100 random people, and all of them would tell you that Pierce Brown is a better rider than Michael Mosiman, no?
Well, yeah, now, but I mean, you could do that 2 years ago and they probably wouldn't say that.
I don't know. That'd be an interesting question. No, I do agree with you, actually. I do agree with you. But also, I know that Pierce has been very fast at the compound, the farm. So that would obviously factor in as well. I think that, again, going back to what I just said, maybe we are in the never period for Mosiman, whereas I think Pierce still has time ahead of him, you know? Whereas I think you could, if I'm sat on a Mosiman debate table discussion thing, I think that's one of my arguments against. I'm like, well, how much longer do we think? Like, when's that window closed, or is it already closed? And is this the best you're going to get? But that goes back to what I said at the beginning about how important it is for him to prove that there is more to come and his trajectory does not stop here.
Yeah, well, I think the reason why this is such an interesting topic about this team specifically is it does seem like they're pretty set that Deegan's going to come back on a 250 next year, maybe 450 outdoors. Anstey's going to still be around. Probably Brown will still be around. Thrasher seems like he just is going to keep getting contracts. Bennick has been riding good. But behind him, here comes Caden Minear probably in 2026. And then behind that, Caden Dudney's coming in 2027. So you have to start figuring out contract situations and how these guys are going to fit in the mold because you can't keep, I mean, maybe it's Star. Maybe they just do keep 9 guys. But I feel like they're going to try to figure out a way to condense it to like 6. And when the musical chairs stop, is Mosiman still someone that fits the mold? Who knows?
I would definitely argue he's the one on the chopping block, and if not him, then Thrasher.
Okay, yeah.
Without knowing off the top of my head all of their contract situations, I think Thrasher may have another year. But if you just say who would be most likely to be considered drop worthy, Mosiman first, I think, and then Thrasher. But that's not a slight on Mosiman. That's just the fact that, well, I know Anstey has another year, so I'm kind of disregarding him. And I think Pierce has shown a lot, and Cole Davies has shown a lot. And Bennick could... Mosiman, then Bennick. But Bennick, I don't know about Bennick. I mean, he
it's
did
weird
have
because
one good
Bennick
result.
was totally on the chopping block
like
4 months ago. But
So do you just disregard that because of a second place? I don't know. That's a tough question to answer.
yeah, I don't know. Very interesting stuff, though. And we're at the end of time with this topic. So let me tell you guys about Namura, the leading provider of engine components for motocross, ATV, UTV, and personal watercraft for over 2 decades. Namura has been the preferred choice for premium and dependable engine components for more than 20 years. Whether you're restoring your vintage bike, rebuilding your four-wheeler, or upgrading your new 450 race motor, Namura has you covered. Our extensive line of cast and forged pistons, connecting rods, gasket kits, engine valves, and soon cylinder kits that enhance your engine's performance. Keep an eye out for our new and innovative products in 2025 and beyond. Stay up to date by following us on Instagram at Namura_technologies. All right, my last topic for you, similar vein, someone that is making progress, close, might be right around the corner of something special. Look, I wrote about this a couple weeks ago, and I still believe it to be true. I think when we get to a race where the whoops are very clear jumpers, Justin Cooper borderline can win a main event. And this weekend, he rolls into the final race of the Triple Crown tied on points. 2, 3, 6. The 6 in the final race stings, but he still had a pretty good night overall. He's been hanging out in the top 5 for the last 4 weeks now, basically. So, honestly, Lewis, do you think Justin Cooper could win a race this year?
Yes, but coming down on it negatively, I think that race was Arlington.
Really? You don't think there's another opportunity elsewhere?
I'm sure there will be another opportunity elsewhere, but I think Arlington was a golden one. I can't remember the points layout heading into the final main event, but he was there. I think he was 1 point back.
No, I think he was tied with Chase.
Yeah, so
Whoever
better.
went 2-3, he went.
Yes,
he went 2-3. Someone else went 3-2. He was tied.
So even better. And those whoops were clearly, it was efficient to jump them. Most were, not Davies, not Roxon, but that's it. So, and I said this to him after the race. I said, "Brilliant night, well done." Or is this a missed opportunity and you could have won tonight? And he said, "Yeah, essentially, it was a missed opportunity, and he's a bit pissed." So. Well, yes, I completely agree with you that it was very positive and he was very impressive and great and blah, 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 blah. There is a part of me that is concerned that we just had the AP in Detroit in 2023.
I don't know that I would go that far because yes, he was tied for the points lead, but I don't think it was like a foregone conclusion. Like he needed to have a good start in that last race for him to have a chance. So
Yeah,
and he didn't.
And he said this to me. Or did he say this to someone else? He said somewhere after the race that he was pissed that like he wasn't even in realm to take advantage of Chase being down. Thank God he wasn't
far enough back for it. Yeah.
But like also, and I think he's struggling with sustainability, as we all are. And this segues me into talking about the environment and world peace. No, I think he's struggling. I think he's struggling with sustaining this pace over a main event, which is why the Triple Crown helped him so much. I think that I don't know if it's a result of jumping the whoops, but I think he is charging so much around the rest of the track to outdo his weakness in the whoops that it's not sustainable.
See, but that's where I do think that that something like that could favor him in the future because he's such a great starter, as we know. He's getting out front a lot. And on the flip side, Chase and Cooper Webb are kind of inconsistent with that. Sometimes they're up front, sometimes they're 10th. And so I do see a world where he hole shots, those guys are more buried. He gets a nice little comfy gap, let's say 5 seconds out front by halfway. He's jumping whoops the whole time. And so then he can start settling his pace down a little bit while those guys are Hail Marying to catch him. And he can kind of ride that pace home where, like you said, the sustainability of it. I don't think he's ever been in a situation yet where he's had that gap. Like, obviously, we can go back to Anaheim too, where he led a lot, but he had Anderson on him pretty much the whole time. So I'm wondering if he gets a lead like that, what it looks like.
I just think that, and I'm quite steadfast in this, I believe that no matter what way you spin it, Justin Cooper gets run down by the end of a main event, which is why the Triple Crown and the shorter races is perfect for him. I mean, not to be negative, but if we're calling a spade, he was great in the Triple Crown races, or the first two, let's say. And then in the closing laps, he started to drift backwards. So if that's a traditional main event, I think he goes a little bit further back than that. And this comes back to the sustainability issue that he's facing.
No, it's a fair point. I'm not saying you're wrong at all about his ability to last the whole main event. I think it is a question mark that needs to be solved. But there's something.
MetLife, the final Triple Crown. I think that's the window for him.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's definitely a track that breaks down enough that the whoops would be jumpers.
Yep.
So
and Triple Crown. So yeah, MetLife. Are you doing MetLife?
I don't know. I gotta look at my schedule.
I feel like that would be one that you wouldn't be doing. Tourist hotspot.
Oh, yeah, sure. But no, like I think that I wanted to bring this to light a little bit because I feel like he gets a bad rap, if you want to call it that, or maybe he's underrated now at this point again because the jumping the whoops does look bad aesthetically, especially when other guys are blitzing by him or jumping by him in this case sometimes, that he hasn't got that figured out. But dude, he's honestly really damn good on the rest of the track, and his name does show up in some fastest segment times elsewhere too. So like, I just think that you have a situation where the whoops are, I don't want to call them easy, but they just are flat and small, and he 3 jumps through them no problem, or even more than that. He's pretty much as good or better than anyone else on the rest of the track as well. So it's an interesting discussion point because we don't often have guys that have this mold. We have some guys like Malcolm that are amazing in the whoops and make a lot of time in the whoops, but maybe don't have the rest of the track as dialed in. Justin Cooper is about as dialed in on the rest of the track as anybody else. So if he figures out the whoops, I think he's right there.
I think that Arlington was some progress in kind of establishing himself amongst the top guys as I'm not going to be pushed around and take me seriously.
Yeah, I think so too. And I believe I asked him this at Tampa about like, you're still a second year guy in the class. Like, what are the things that you're learning about when you start with these guys? And he's like, yeah, every time I'm up there, I'm learning how long the pace is or how intense it is or what they start doing late in the race and stuff. So he's learned a lot. Now I think it's more about just kind of molding that into something that could be a race win. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see if it happens. I'm not sure, but definitely someone to maybe keep an eye out for potentially getting the job done. All right. Second half of the show coming up, and I'll tell you guys about Racetech suspension. For 40 years, Racetech has been supplying the motorcycle industry with high-quality suspension components made right here in the USA. For modern and vintage, Racetech is your go-to source for suspension performance, and you can use Racetech to blitz the crap out of the whoops every single week. Do you use Racetech suspension when you game, Lewis? I know you're a big gamer now.
No. No, I actually realized last night that I realized that my bike on MX versus ATV had no parts on it.
Oh, so you've been running?
Yep. I didn't think about it. I only realized last night.
Oh, big gamer guy, Lewis. But yeah, head over to Racetech. They will get you guys dialed in on your suspension. All right, Lewis, second half of the show is all yours, buddy.
Okay, well, as you know, Kellen, I came prepared with multiple topics that were very exciting, so I'm looking forward to getting into them. They're so exciting that I don't even know what one to start with. Let's start with this. After what Justin Hill did, I saw Lars Lindstrom at the Tedder truck after the race. Now, I'm certain that we don't want to read into it. Certain it was just pleasantries. But we haven't talked about the Honda HRC progressive fill-in, and as we are, Kellen, the trustworthy, fact-checked podcast on the Pulp MX platform, we can talk about it with certainty. So, no one's called us. No one's attempted to call us. We're not going to claim any of that. But if you're HRC, do you make a run at Justin Hill or other?
I mean, to be honest with you, I would say no.
So would I.
I think that there's too much red tape to jump through in the first place to get him off Tedder onto the program.
Okay, but let's say there's no red tape. Now what's your opinion?
Well, yeah, obviously, if you could just get Justin Hill to ride your bike, that'd be great. But I think that, part of the problem is Honda still needs to keep developing this bike. Trey Kennard got hurt. No one's testing it right now. The 2 450 boys are hurt. They need someone that has experience riding this platform to keep working on it and helping get them better on it, which is why Dean Wilson's name has come up so often in this regard, obviously, because he has been riding 2025 Hondas, and he just finished up the UK Arena Cross Championship. I thought it was interesting.
British champion.
I thought it was interesting in Wilson's post too, how like his Instagram post of winning the championship was like, awesome time, did that, now back to the USA we go. Like as if like I'm gonna go take care of other unfinished business over there. You know what I mean? Like that's how his post read to me. So
Well, no matter what he does, the plan was always to finish that series and then race whatever rounds of Supercross.
yeah, but it to me it like almost suggests that he knows that he's the
Oh.
guy. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
But I do think that like he wouldn't be a bad choice either. Yes, Justin Hill would maybe get you better results, but if you need a bike in the main, if you need a story as well, because Dean Wilson would be a story, especially with like his career is winding down. He's a former, 250 national champion. He's going to help Honda keep developing this bike. Like that's going to be a story you and I would talk about. And then the media or the TV crew would start picking up on how's his results this week? What's he doing? What's going on over there? Just as Justin Hill would, to be honest. But then Dean Wilson could also keep testing the bike for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just think that it's a risk because I have zero confidence in Justin Hill performing consistently. So if I'm HRC, I'm like, yeah, brilliant. We may have a fourth one week, but can anyone tell me what we're going to get the rest of the time? And that's scary, I think. And also, you could argue that if Dean gets on the bike, whatever he does will be celebrated because there's no litmus test. Let's say that hypothetically Justin Hill gets on the bike in Daytona for the rest of the season and Arlington ends up being his best result of the year. That shines somewhat negatively on HRC, and I think you've got to be aware of that. Or does it not?
No, I think it does if it's a drastic difference. Like if he picks up a couple sixths from here or something, I still think that you could, as a fan or in our position, look at that as like, well, yeah, of course he jumped on a bike that he hadn't ridden, and he's not going to immediately set the world on fire, or he shouldn't at least. So it's going to take a little bit of time to build up to that, which is to me why Dean still just makes the most sense. Like you just plug and play on a bike he's already been riding.
Yeah, and it makes sense because of contracts, and it makes sense because of fan interest, and it makes sense across the board. There is literally no reason not to do Dean Wilson unless you want to get better results. But if you want to get better results, I'm not going Justin Hill, I'm going Joey Savatgy, and I'm figuring out how to make that happen.
Yeah, I mean,
and if that can't happen, because that is my without doubt number one option, if that can't happen, Dean and McElrath are a little more of a toss-up. I think I would go Dean over McElrath.
I also heard this brought up with Dean, maybe it was on Pulp, where they're talking about like towards the end of last year, he started to become like a pretty borderline main event guy, like was in LCQs and stuff like that. But to me, I don't know, like what he did in Australia this past offseason, he didn't win the title, but he was still pretty good. Obviously, the UK Arena Cross thing, he's been solid there. Like, I feel like we're almost back to Dean should be a pretty consistent top 15 guy on that bike, in my opinion, no problem, and tickle the top 10 here and there, right?
Yeah, I've been a victim of this as well. I've been a victim of this as well, that when I've been talking about Dean potentially getting that ride, I go, well, let's just hope he makes the main event. And then I'm like, well, hang on, no, I think that's fine, especially in this field. But yeah, for some reason, I think that's because last year started that way. So that maybe, and it was so shocking to see that it lives on in our memory. But if you look at his results from last year, he missed 6 races with injury, but he came back from injury and went 11, 11, 11, 10. Before injury, he went 17, 16, 13, 20. So that's a little more hair-raising. But if he can do 11, 11, 11, 10, that's great.
Yeah, and then he's right around Joey, who you just said, would be a good fill-in replacement there too, which I agree. I do think that if somehow it made sense to put Joey on the factory bike, that would be great, because I do think that his ability to get a better result is higher than Dean, but I just think Dean is going to be 2 spots maybe worse than him on a weekly basis.
Okay, so rank them. Justin Hill, Dean Wilson, Shane McElrath, Joey Savatgy.
In terms of like...
Just who you are Lars Lindstrom. Who are you? What are you doing? Who are you picking? And don't think about red tape.
Well,
actually, no, do think about red tape.
If I'm thinking about red tape, I'm picking up the phone of Dean Wilson and saying,
okay, no,
here tomorrow?
You're not thinking about red tape because this is just a wish list. This is order of price. You're going to tackle the red tape after this.
Okay. Wish list?
Yes.
Justin Hill, Savachi, Dean Shane.
Wow. Wildly different to mine.
Really?
Savachi, Dean, McElrath, Hill.
Because so you put Hill last just because you don't think that it would give him a bump?
No, just because I don't know what we're going to get week to week. I don't know if he will put max effort in. I don't know if it could be a disaster. And after 5 rounds, he wants to go back to his KTM because he liked that more and he was comfortable on it. I just don't know.
Well, but I think on the
it's
flip
risky,
side,
essentially.
yes, it is risky. But on the flip side, this could be somehow like the weirdest silver lining ever, where he gets back on a factory bike, immediately has a ton more resources around him. No disrespect to Tedder. They're doing a great job, but you just can't compete with what factory Honda provides. And then what? Starts battling for race wins? Like, that's not impossible to say after what we just saw this weekend. You know what I mean?
Battle for race wins?
Is it impossible?
I mean,
he qualified fastest and got 5th in the overall.
I guess
like,
not. I mean,
so,
I do need to see it again before I even entertain that conversation.
I think like if you could almost guarantee some degree of that version of Justin Hill exists on a factory Honda, I think Lars would actually try to pull the red tape aside and do it.
Yeah, but this is a point. This is a point. There is no guarantee with Justin Hill.
But I'm not saying even race wins. I'm saying like current form. Like, he could qualify fastest on that bike. He's going to get top 5 in the main events kind of thing. Like, if that exists in any world, I think Lars tries to figure it out.
Well, of course, that's obvious. If that exists with any rider, Lars is going to try and figure it out.
Yeah, but that's why maybe he's over there going like, well, now we've seen fast qualifier, pretty consistent in the night show. Like, can you point to an example this year where we've looked at Justin Hill and go like, he's just been steady?
Well, I've not noticed Justin Hill at points. Hold on, let me pull up the points. Well, yeah, no, look. Oh, I don't know. Ever since the points changed, it confuses me. But essentially, he was outside of the top 10, borderline top 15 at A2 in San Diego.
Didn't he crash at A2?
I can't remember.
I think he crashed on the first lap at A2.
He got 8 points and 7 points, which I believe is 11th and 12th.
No, it's lower than that.
No, because the points, because with the old points, that's 13th and 14th. Yeah, so then it's bumped up one, so that would be 12th and 13th. No?
Yeah.
Nobody knows. Yeah.
Okay, put Dean on the bike. My answer.
Or Savachi.
Okay. Let me tell you guys about Partzilla, PRMX. The boys this weekend, Mitchell Harrison, another 16th place finish. I didn't even have to change my graphic this week. He just got 16th again. And then Hunter Yoder finished up in 11th. And
since when do we have a graphic?
Well, like, I just make a little thing on the side here to reference.
Okay, that seems like a lot of work when you could just write it on a notepad, but okay. You do.
Okay. It's on a table is what I mean. It's a little table that I have.
Okay.
Anyway.
Graphic was like you've made a fucking design.
Yoder 11th. Are we, just to briefly talk about him, the field has been a little bit weakened now, 250 West. Obviously, Jordan goes out again this weekend. Like, I feel like Yoder's kind of starting to miss some opportunities now, right?
All I know about Yoder is that in the first main event, I want to say he crashed in the sand section 3 times.
Okay, so
definitely twice.
Not a sand guy, Hunter Yoder. Okay,
I think it was the first main event. In one session, he crashed in the sand 3 times.
I'm trying to look at his overall results, but he did end up 11th. I mean, look, it's still very good for that team and for him and stuff like that because he's the top finishing 250 guy on that team. But as you and I theorized earlier this year, like with some of the issues going on in this class, he should probably be doing better.
Yeah, I don't think we're there yet. It's not weakened that much.
Yeah, but I mean, we would have had maybe RJ. Kitchen is out of this class. Jordan's now out.
He should be in the top 10 every week without fail, yes.
Ty Masterpool's not racing anymore. Like,
well, he was barely racing in the first place.
You get what I mean? There's less factory bikes on the track than on East.
Yeah.
Anyway, Partzilla.com is the premier OEM parts dealer and distributor. They sell OEM parts for Honda, Kawasaki, Polaris, Can-Am, Suzuki, Arctic Cat, Sea-Doo, Ski-Doo, and Yamaha motorcycles, ATVs, PWCs, and snowmobiles. Visit Partzilla.com to see their extensive line of parts and accessories and check out as your guy, Jack Chambers, gets back on the track this weekend in Daytona.
I have 2 PRMX observations. Am I allowed?
Yeah.
Okay. One, I don't know what they're doing in the pits, Partzilla and PRMX, but I saw a lot of people walking around with Partzilla PRMX goodie bags.
Okay. Are they? Can they do giveaways? They can, right? Because they're not selling it then.
I don't know. Well, maybe they weren't goodie bags, but I saw multiple people walking around with these see-through bags with Partzilla PRMX printed on them.
Okay.
So that caught my eye. And 2, because they sponsor this podcast, I am willing to overlook the fact that their rider ran over Chase Sexton.
I didn't even think of that.
And I'm willing to overlook it and move on.
Were you upset in the moment?
To be honest, I didn't know about it until the next day.
Oh, okay, never mind. Yeah, Partzilla.com though. Check them out, guys.
Yeah, someone messaged me and went they were like, yeah, Chase got run over. And I was like, when? Like leaving the stadium? Anyway, next topic.
Yes.
So I discussed this on the MXGP podcast show this morning because I've been on somewhat of a podcast palooza. And I don't know how the world works. I am, for lack of a better term, thick, dumb, an idiot, whatever word you choose to tackle. But I asked Adam Wheeler this, and he said it was a good point, but then there's a chance he was just basically making me feel better. So I'm going to put it to you. The financial people who are looking into KTM and poking around and they see what Sexton and Beaumer are doing, and it's quite a credit to the race program, I would imagine. Like it's a justification for why this exists. So is it bad that they look at MXGP and okay, Lucas Coonan is going to try and race, but there's a chance that doesn't go well. So there's a chance they look at MXGP and there's no 450 on track. Does that have... Is this bad timing for that? Or is I presume it's not that specific. But I don't know, because I'm thick, dumb, idiot.
So you... Like, are you saying in the sense that they look at that and they go, oh, we need a 450 on the track because this is the time that we need to have...
No, I'm thinking more like... If someone's looking at like what gets spent and the justification for that, they're like, well, X amount of money goes to American motocross and supercross. Well, look, they're winning. Oh, that's cool. X amount of money goes to MXGP. Oh, yeah, we don't have any bikes out there at the moment.
I mean, I would hope that whoever is going through these would understand how injuries work in this sport, but maybe they don't. If they don't, then I would just, if I'm Pit Buyer or if I'm, any of those guys that make those decisions or can point stuff out to them, I would go, can I introduce you to this list of MX2 championships that we've possessed?
Well, this is what Adam said. And I said, and again, this is all dumb because I don't know how it works, but we're just having fun. I said to Adam in rebuttal to this, would they not go, well, MX2 is costing us, you're paying Jeffrey Hurling's X amount, and MX2 is costing us a fraction of that. So, yeah.
I think it
just race MX2 and cut the MXGP money. I mean, I don't think that the person involved would have that sort of say, but I don't know how it works, so it crossed my mind.
I think, I don't know this for sure, but I would think that to some degree, it would be explained to these people how important Jeffrey Hurling's is.
Oh, if they need me, come in and do that. They should let me know.
I would look at it as... I don't know. I would kind of look at it as similar to just like in general, an ex-F1 person being on the payroll for something. You know what I mean? Like Kimi Räikkönen, for example. Let's just use him. If an energy drink company wants to sponsor Kimi Räikkönen, like of course it makes the most sense in the world. The same way that if you're KTM, even if he's not on the track, having Jeffrey Hurling's be associated to your brand should be a big enough deal regardless of what he does out on the racetrack because he's one of the greatest to ever do it. And like I think that, but like, you know what I mean? Like I think that could be explained to them as well of like, at the end of the day, our racing programs are our marketing division. This is how we sell our motorcycle to consumers.
Which is why I said that what Sexton and Beaumer are doing is like brilliant.
Yes, but the same vein of like if you've been a Hurlings fan for a long time and then KTM just goes, oh, he's hurt, like that just pisses people off. Like you can't. You have to look at it objectively in terms of like he's marketing our brand for us, even if he's not on the racetrack. He's still Jeffrey Hurlings, KTM. He's been KTM branded his whole career. It's a big deal that he's that way. He's KTM for life in that sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that has to be explained a little bit, even if he's not on the racetrack. So yes, I understand what you mean by they look at it and they go, well, no one's on the track promoting our motorcycle, but how about off the track?
And then someone goes, I just looked at Instagram and he said he's retiring next year. So,
okay, so then why would you pull the plug on his farewell tour?
Well, he needs a new contract for next year.
Yikes.
Well, no, because so does Chase, and so does every KTM rider, really, because there's very few who are under contract. RJ and I don't know about Adamo and the MXGP, MX2 guys, but yeah, Chase, Tom, I believe. Juju, definitely.
If you want my real answer, maybe Pipe Dream. If I'm Pit Byrer in this situation, I go, look, we may have just lost Jeffrey Hurlings to a potential win of this MXGP world title. We'll see what Lucas can do with his situation.
With his broken arm. But we've got this Lucas guy with 2 broken arms. Let's see what he can do.
If you want, if I'm Dirk and I'm, or not Dirk, if I'm Pit and I'm talking to these people, I go, if you want our brand to look cool and you want our marketing division to look strong and solid and that we actually know what we're doing, then you go, okay, great. That's a loss right there. Let's go ahead and shuffle as much of these funds that we have here. I know that some sponsors would fall off on obligation side, but shuffle them over to the U.S. and make sure that Jeffrey Hurlings can race nationals this summer.
Well, I can actually break some news. No, that sounds too positive. I can break some news because it wasn't released, but he was missing the start of the season, so I couldn't talk about this because that would be a giveaway. But I did message him and say, anything we can do, to get you to outdoors, anything we can do. I said that I would be his Ruben. Like, if he needs a guy, like I'll fucking watch lines and everything. And he basically was like, no, I'm not doing that.
So he doesn't want to.
No, he said that there's no chance KTM would go for it for a justifiable reason of Chase Sexton will win outdoors. Now, if Chase Sexton gets hurt and they need a winner outdoors, maybe that's an opening. But as long as Chase is on track, they don't need Jeffrey. I mean, as long as Chase is on track, do we need anyone?
But the only reason I even understand that logic at all from a marketing standpoint, which is what these teams are designed to do, market the brand, is that you're trying not to piss off your superstar, who might walk off the team anyway.
Well, no, because they need a bike in MXGP, don't they? And also, Hurlings needs to race MXGP to kind of boost his value for a contract next year. He needs to be winning GPs and proving that he's still competitive for a title.
You've said this to me before, and I still stand by the fact that if he fucking wins AMA Pro Motocross, everybody in Europe would be dumb not to sign him.
I don't know. All I know is that you just saying about the marketing thing really made me realize that I need to fucking wisen up because I can be the media person to fucking capitalize on all of this because I've got the best relationship with Jeffrey. So I need to be going to all these companies and going, I'll do this with Jeffrey. I'll do this with Jeffrey. I'll do this with Jeffrey. Pay me, pay me, pay me.
Okay.
Also, you don't know about this because you weren't in Arlington. I put the ball in motion for one heck of a podcast.
Well, I'll have to hear about it this weekend at Daytona when you're ignoring me.
I actually put the ball in motion.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Anyway, next topic. I would say saving the best to last, but honestly, it's so bleak that MXGP starting this weekend. Congratulations to Tim Gajser on the championship. Done. That's all we've got to say. No Prado, no Hurlings. Lucas Coonan has 2 broken arms. It's Gajser, Fevre, and Renault for the championship, which But realistically, I think I'm justified in saying this. Adam tried to raise my spirits this morning. But still, there's just no way that Tim loses this championship. It's a non-contest in my mind.
I don't know that I would write Febvre off that hard.
I don't know. I don't know. Just
Like, I get where you're coming from, and I do agree that Tim's going to win this title based on everything that's going into it, but
and win this title going away.
based on the nature that MXGP is, yes, but I think that like there's a world where Febvre and him go at it for 10 rounds and then Febvre tweaks an ankle or something stupid and then Gajser wins by 250 points.
Well, this is another thing that I was thinking of after the podcast. This is a brilliant opportunity for Febvre. He arguably won't have an opportunity as good as this again. So he's just going to ride over his head and crash.
I mean, I guess. Yeah.
As has been his MO. So I don't know.
It's so blunt to put it that way, but yeah, I mean, it could be. Okay,
MXGP 2025.
Can we talk about
Gotcha,
Maxime?
Fever.
Can we talk about Maxime Renault? Because you and I, when we've talked about the potential for the Koonins coming over, the DeWolf coming over, and this gap that's going to be filled in MXGP once Hurlings, Gajser, and Febvre retire, we have brought up Maxime Renault's name a couple of times about the next person. So you say this is Febvre's golden opportunity and Gajser can win this no problem, and et cetera, et cetera. But is there not a world where Maxime Renault finally decides it's time to shine?
No, I do actually think that Maxime Renault is the second guy to Tim Gajser. I think he will end up being Gajser's biggest threat. And he also beat Febvre at La Capelle Maraval last weekend. So he's clearly firing on all cylinders. So maybe Maxime Renault can turn this into a dogfight. That's the spirit. But no, Renault will be great, but I just find it impossible to look past Tim Gajser. Like, it's Tim Gajser. If Hurlings is out, he wins.
Honestly, you know what I'm so excited about right now, Lewis, is that you're finally giving Gajser the respect he deserves. You're not trying to nickel and dime how he's not going to win this
championship. I always call it as I see it, and people just don't understand this.
So
Tim Gajser will win every race.
Every race.
I tried to figure out on the MXGP podcast whether he could potentially wrap it up in May and race outdoors.
I want to remind people that people listening to this, the LVK More Than Moto podcast, that this gentleman, Lewis Phillips, right here last year said Simon Langenfelder would win at least 8 GPs in the title. So
I feel like I said 10.
She said some crazy number. So hold a little bit of candle there with Gajser.
Honestly,
what he's
we're very, very, very lucky to be talking about MXGP like this, believe it or not. Because, I don't know if you saw the videos, Fernandez crashed big yesterday and is okay.
Yeah, Jonas almost killed
Died.
Febvre and they went down together.
Yes.
And, yep.
So there's a world where we could be sat here today going, and also Febvre, Jonas, and Fernandez are out.
And
which at that point, it's the cut the show meme.
Adam Sterry wins the title this year.
Well, don't look past Ben Watson.
Ben Watson is there. Beat to Ben. How is he feeling? Are we better?
We don't want to show our cards, but we are happy.
We're happy.
We don't want to show. We don't want to. We're not here to make a big song and dance. We're going to start the season, build slowly.
How about your dear friend Ducati's Jeremy Seawer?
Yep, he's out there. It's a project.
Okay.
Gonna take some time.
Is that? Are we also in project land with Paul's Jonas on a Kawasaki?
No, he's happy with a Kawasaki.
Okay.
So
I mean,
he should be good.
He was leading when Febvre hit him.
Yeah, he should. I think he'll be good. Like, he can win GPs. He should definitely be podium regular, top 5 regular for sure.
Let's do this real quick. A quick litmus test, I guess, is what you would want to call it. Name the GP winners this year.
Tim Gajser.
Okay.
End.
All 20.
Tim Gajser, Jeffrey Hurlings, Romain Febvre, Maxime Renault. And I'll call it there.
Really? Okay, so
no Jonas will. Jonas will.
Landrin?
No.
He's won the last 2 years, right?
No.
GP?
He didn't win last year.
Did he? I thought he did. No,
No.
Jonas won. Jonas won at
Jonas.
Portugal. Yeah, that's
I'm trying
right.
to remember if Vlanderin's last win was 2022 or 2023. I want to say it was 2022.
I thought he won when he was on the factory Yamaha once.
No.
Really?
No.
Okay.
He was on a Gebbon Yamaha.
I know he was on Gebbon when he won at Riola, but I didn't know that. I thought he won another one.
Unless I'm misremembering. Hold on, I've got his stats here. No, he's only won once. You threw me off with dangling a second win in front of me. No, he's won twice.
Okay. So no Vlanderen, but you think Jonas could Seaward no on the Ducati? Just because
I don't know. We'll see. In a second, he can get podiums and stuff, so maybe that turns into a win. But it's a little bit sad because, I mean, I guess it's not really, but if we could just insert Yamaha Jeremy into this frame, he could finally get the fucking world championship.
he got so sick of the situation there that he left at the wrong time. He could have won a world title this year with them.
But
Sad,
also,
really.
big congrats to Jeremy Sewer, who is starting this weekend his 204th GP in a row.
I would like to know, though, before we sign off on this specific topic, can I get an update on your best friend, Jago Geertz?
I said on the MXGP podcast this morning that I don't know because I'm not in his inner circle, but then again, no one is in his inner circle. So I guess I'm as justified to talk about him as anyone. I think, and maybe I'm being too nice. I'm not putting any expectations on his shoulders at all because I feel like it's just going to be a slow rebuild this year. And maybe in the last 6 rounds, he starts to show what he can do. But last year was so bad for so many different reasons that I think that we've just got to let him time to rebuild. Let him go. Let him grow.
Let him go. Let him fly.
Let it snow.
Let him fly. All right. Well, I agree with you. Guy's is going to win this title, and that'll be his
honestly
6th and over 60 GP wins potentially on the table this year, right? He would be 3rd all time.
Hold on.
He's at 52?
49.
49.
With both classes, 44 MXGP, 104 podiums.
Yeah. No, he deserves a lot of credit, in my opinion, for what he's been able to do with this career. So anyway, that's the MXGP segment of LVK. You'll hear from us in a couple weeks after the opener on
next week.
Oh, it's this week.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought it was 2 weeks from now.
Well,
anyway.
Kellen, you probably weren't that engaged because fuck me, Tim Gajser is just going to dominate.
Anyway, thanks everyone for tuning into the Leatt LVK More Than Moto podcast. Big shout out Namura, Race Tech, Partzilla for backing the show. Daytona coming up this weekend. The series starts there. I will not see you this weekend, Mr. Lewis Phillips.
You will see us in the daytime because in the daytime, the suite is not open.
Yep. Well, when the elitist media go to their own little section in the night, the hardworking journalists will stay nose to the ground on the floor. And
it will literally be nose to the ground because you won't be able to see anything.
Well, Daytona coming this weekend. Excited to see it. And we'll be back next week to recap what happens at Daytona. See you guys.